that she could manage the final stretch alone. She assured him that she would be fine and encouraged him to enjoy the remaining part of his evening. With a lingering sense of reluctance, Josh finally agreed and watched as Sierra pedaled away, her laughter echoing through the tranquil landscape. But as the sun began its descent, transforming the sky into a canvas of oranges and purples, an unsettling silence fell over Metamora. Sierra's absence grew more palpable with each passing minute, and her family, accustomed to her punctuality, began to worry. The clock ticked on, and what was supposed to be a brief solo ride stretched into an agonizing wait. Sierra's mother, Sheila, who had been preparing dinner, felt a growing unease. Her intuition, honed by years of motherhood, told her something was amiss. As night enveloped the small town, concern turned to alarm, and Sheila's heart raced with dread. She reached out to Josh, hoping for reassurance, but his response only deepened her fears. Josh, too, was growing increasingly anxious. He retraced their route, desperately searching for any sign of Sierra. The once familiar roads now seemed fraught with mystery and danger. Each shadow cast by the moonlight appeared a potential harbinger of bad news. The community, tight-knit and ever supportive, quickly mobilized, joining the search for the missing young woman. As hours turned into a sleepless night, the tight bond of Metamora's residents became evident. Neighbors volunteered to scour the roads and fields, flashlights cutting through the darkness in hopes of finding Sierra safe. The local police, alerted to the situation, began their investigation, piecing together the fragments of the evening to uncover what might have transpired. In the midst of the search, Sierra's family clung to hope, their minds oscillating between optimism and despair. Memories of her infectious laughter and vibrant spirit filled their thoughts, a stark contrast to the grim reality they faced. For Josh, the weight of not accompanying her on that final stretch was a heavy burden, a decision he replayed endlessly in his mind. As dawn broke, the first light of day brought with it a renewed determination. Yet as the hours passed, the absence of any breakthrough cast a long shadow over the community's efforts. With each passing moment, the reality of Sierra's disappearance became more profound, and the question of her fate loomed large. O knew her best. Her story, one of youthful exuberance and unfulfilled potential, resonated far beyond the borders of Metamora, touching hearts and igniting a collective yearning for answers. Sierra Juffin's legacy, though marked by tragedy, serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring strength of human connection. Her spirit, characterized by warmth and resilience, lives on in the hearts of those she left behind, inspiring a community to cherish every moment and hold their loved ones close. In the gentle embrace of a summer evening, the world seemed untroubled as Josh bid farewell to Sierra. Her laughter echoed softly as she pedaled away, her silhouette soon swallowed by the quiet expanse of road flanked by towering cornfields. Yet beneath the calm veneer of the countryside, a storm was brewing, one that would soon shatter the tranquility of that night. Hours slipped by with an unsettling silence. Josh, his heart tethered to the hope of a message from Sierra, found only the void of unanswered anticipation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of twilight, an insidious worry began to creep in. He reached out to Sheila, Sierra's mother, only to find that she too believed her daughter safe, either at home or still with Josh. As the chill of the evening settled in, the realization dawned with a cold certainty. Sierra was missing. Her phone, once a beacon of connection, now led only to the hollow echo of voicemail. The road she had taken, lined with endless rows of corn standing tall and unyielding, now seemed an impenetrable maze. Darkness had cloaked the landscape, complicating the search that lay ahead. With mounting desperation, Josh and Sheila scoured the area, their voices rising into the night, calling out for Sierra. Yet the cornfields remained silent, their secrets hidden beneath the cloak of darkness. As the clock ticked relentlessly forward, their search proved fruitless, and the authorities were summoned to aid in the growing crisis. The rural expanse, vast and unforgiving, demanded a formidable response. Police units mobilized, deploying dogs and helicopters in a concerted effort to pierce the veil of night. A missing persons report was filed as the clock struck 11, and by the early hours of morning, teams were fanning out across the countryside. Their flashlights pierced the inky blackness, sweeping over the endless sea of corn that stretched toward the horizon. Just as hope began to wane, a glint of metal caught the eye of a searcher. A bicycle, Sierra's bicycle, lying abandoned and forlorn. Nearby, an array of items lay scattered: a small fuse box, 2 pairs of sunglasses, a screwdriver, all alien to Sierra's world. The earth bore the scars of a struggle, motorcycle tire tracks etched into the soil, and corn stalks shattered and stained with blood. The evidence painted a grim picture: a violent encounter, an abduction. The scene lay a mere 500 feet from Sierra's home, a haunting proximity that underscored the urgency of the situation. The FBI was swiftly called in, sealing off the area to preserve the integrity of the investigation. An agent later spoke of the palpable sense of unease that lingered, an unshakable certainty that a crime had occurred. Josh, the last person to see Sierra, found himself under the scrutiny of the investigation. Yet his alibi was airtight, supported by evidence that placed him at home after Sierra's departure. His emotional turmoil was evident, a profound guilt gnawing at him for allowing her to ride alone into the unknown. As the investigation unfolded, the community rallied, united in their search for Sierra. Yet, the cornfields stood silent, a testament to the mysteries they held within. In the wake of this tragedy, the bonds of the community strengthened, a collective resolve to find answers and justice. In the heart of that night, as the searchlights continued to dance across the fields, a deeper reflection emerged, a contemplation of the fragility of safety, the fleeting nature of peace, and the indomitable spirit of hope. For in the face of darkness, it is the light of human connection and perseverance that ultimately guides the way. The deserted roads offered him a serene backdrop to contemplate his mechanical woes. Yet his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease, a subtle dance of shadows that did not go unnoticed by the seasoned detectives. The investigators, ever perceptive, noted the incongruity of his story. A seasoned mechanic stranded by a malfunctioning motorcycle? It was a narrative that invited skepticism. As they probed deeper, James's irritation morphed into a palpable tension, his answers clipped and evasive. Each word he uttered seemed to be a carefully placed brick in a wall of obfuscation. Meanwhile, the helmet, an unassuming artifact of the road, was undergoing meticulous examination at the forensic laboratory. The blood traces it bore whispered secrets of a potential struggle, a violent interruption of an otherwise ordinary night. Scientists worked tirelessly to extract DNA profiles, hoping to weave a thread that could connect the helmet to Sierra. As the investigation unfolded, the small town of Metamora found itself enveloped in a shroud of fear and speculation. The community, once serene and unassuming, now murmured with the unsettling possibility of a predator in their midst. Local authorities, aware of the growing panic, intensified their efforts, deploying search teams to comb through the dense woods and sprawling fields that bordered the town. In the midst of this turmoil, Sierra's family clung to hope, their lives suspended in a cruel limbo. They set up a command center within their home, transforming their living room into a hub of activity. Maps were spread across the coffee table, red pins marking the places where she might have been seen. Volunteers came and went, offering support and solidarity, their presence a testament to the human spirit's resilience in the face of despair. Days stretched into nights as the investigation continued, each hour a reminder of the urgency that drove the search. The police, armed with the latest technology, analyzed every digital footprint, every electronic whisper that Sierra's phone might have left behind. Yet the trail remained stubbornly cold, a ghostly echo of her last known location. As the sun set on the 5th day of her disappearance, a breakthrough emerged from an unexpected quarter. A local farmer, tending to his crops, stumbled upon a piece of torn fabric snagged on a barbed wire fence. Its color, a vivid blue, matched the description of the jacket Sierra had been wearing. The discovery reignited the search, directing efforts toward the sprawling acres of farmland that lay beyond the fence. With renewed vigor, search teams plunged into the fields, their movements a synchronized dance of determination. Drones hovered overhead, scanning the ground below, while dogs to unravel the mystery that had ensnared their community. As the hours passed, a narrative began to take shape, a tapestry woven from fragments of evidence and intuition. The investigators, piecing together the puzzle, were drawn inexorably back to James Worley. His presence on that fateful night, the inconsistencies in his story, and the proximity of his home to the site of the helmet's discovery painted a picture that could no longer be ignored. In the quiet hours before dawn, a tactical team assembled outside James's property. The air was thick with anticipation as they prepared to execute a search warrant. The sun, rising slowly over the horizon, cast a golden hue over the landscape, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. As the team moved in, the tension was palpable. The creak of the gate, the crunch of boots on gravel, the muted commands of the officers, all were underscored by the weight of expectation. Inside, James Worley stood in the dim light of his kitchen, his fate hanging in the balance. The search was exhaustive, each room scoured with precision and care. And then, in a small, cluttered shed at the back of the property, they found what they had been dreading, a chilling confirmation of their suspicions. Evidence that spoke of a struggle, of a life interrupted, items that tied James irrevocably to Sierra's disappearance. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the land, the town of Metamora braced itself for the revelations to come. In the quiet aftermath of discovery, the community, once fractured by fear, began the slow process of healing. They gathered in solidarity, their collective grief tempered by the hope of justice and the enduring belief in the resilience of the human spirit. In the dim light of a chilly autumn evening, Sierra's bicycle stood silently, a lone sentinel in an unfolding mystery. On that fateful night, James, a figure of unsettling notoriety within the community, had found himself in proximity to this bicycle. He later recounted a tale that seemed woven from the threads of a fevered imagination, contemplating a ride on Sierra's bicycle, yet ultimately choosing the arduous task of pushing his own motorcycle homeward. As he narrated his version of events, he casually mentioned the potential loss of a fuse box, a screwdriver, and even his helmet along the path he claimed to have taken. He maintained, however, a steadfast denial of ever encountering Sierra that night. To the seasoned detective listening, James's story was a tapestry of implausibility, one that required restraint to avoid an overt reaction. The details he provided, items not yet disclosed to the public, inexplicably aligned with the scene of Sierra's disappearance, casting a shadow of suspicion over his every word. Despite the glaring inconsistencies in his account, the investigators were bound by the limitations of the law. They lacked the concrete evidence necessary to secure a warrant for search or arrest. Yet, the whispers of the community painted a more vivid portrait of James. He was a figure shrouded in unease, known for his unsettling presence and inappropriate attention towards younger girls. Families in the neighborhood had long cautioned their children to steer clear of his ominous domain. The community's perception of James was not unfounded. As investigators delved into his past, they uncovered a chilling history that sent ripples of dread through the neighborhood. In the year 1993, James had been released from prison, having served a fraction of a decade-long sentence for the abduction of a cyclist named Robin Gardner. The incident occurred a mere 20 miles from where Sierra vanished. In a display of calculated malice, James had feigned benevolence, offering assistance to Robin before violently forcing her off the road. Armed with a screwdriver pressed to her throat and the threat of death looming, he attempted to subdue her with handcuffs. Yet Robin's resilience and timely intervention by a passing driver thwarted his sinister intentions, leading to his conviction. The parallels between Robin's ordeal and Sierra's disappearance were too striking to ignore. The investigators, armed with renewed determination, resolved to scrutinize James's property with meticulous care. Their search led them to a barn that stood at the periphery of his estate, a place shrouded in shadows and secrecy. Within its confines lay a green crate, obscured beneath the camouflage of hay bales. The contents of this crate unveiled a macabre collection. Bags meticulously labeled, containing women's clothing and undergarments, some tainted with the unmistakable hue of blood. As the gravity of the discovery settled upon the investigators, James's demeanor shifted from defiance to desperation. He implored them to abandon the suffocating confines of the barn, citing the stifling heat as his rationale. Yet the investigators, driven by an unwavering commitment to uncover the truth, pressed forward with their inquiry. In the depths of this unfolding narrative, the facade that James had long maintained began to crumble. The secrets he had hidden within the walls of his property were now laid bare, each piece of evidence a testament to the darkness that had long lurked beneath the surface. In the quiet spaces between each revelation, the investigators were reminded of the fragile line between predator and prey, and the indomitable spirit of those who seek justice in the face of unrelenting shadows. As the investigation continued, the community braced itself for the truth, a truth that would forever alter the fabric of their shared existence, and perhaps bring closure to the haunting mystery of Sierra's disappearance. The scene was one of unrelenting horror, a tableau of violence and depravity hidden within the rustic facade of a rural barn. Blood sty. Handcuffs, zip ties, duct tape, ropes, firearms, and masks lay scattered across the space, each item a silent witness to the grim reality of the barn's true purpose. Further examination of the area revealed even more damning evidence. In his truck, officers discovered a blood-stained mattress, a chilling testament to the violence that had occurred. Hidden cameras, strategically placed throughout the barn, suggested a sinister intent to capture every moment of suffering, turning the space into a grotesque theater of cruelty. But the most disturbing discovery lay beneath a large piece of plywood leaning casually against one wall. When officers moved it aside, they uncovered a hole in the ground, a sight that would haunt their memories. Beneath this unassuming cover lay a buried freezer, its presence betrayed by the strong chemical odor emanating from within. Inside, its carpet was soaked in blood, a ghastly reminder of the lives extinguished in this place. This barn was no mere structure of wood and nails. It was a house of horrors, a makeshift torture chamber concealed in the guise of a pastoral setting, a facade of innocence masking a reality of terror. When confronted with these revelations, James, the man behind this nightmare, attempted to weave a web of lies to extricate himself from the web of evidence. He claimed that the women's clothing and other items belonged to an ex-girlfriend, a feeble attempt at misdirection. In an even more bizarre twist, he suggested that the entire setup was part of his production company for filming explicit movies, a claim as flimsy as the plywood that hid his darkest secret. His final retort, "I've been around the block. Would I really leave behind any evidence?" only served to deepen the disbelief of the officers present. Detectives, seeing through his fabrications, placed him in handcuffs, their resolve strengthened by the mounting evidence of his guilt. James was arrested, suspected of kidnapping Sierra, a young woman whose disappearance had sparked a desperate search. In his main house, investigators uncovered a chilling note addressed to his court-appointed therapist, a confession of sorts. In it, James wrote of learning from each kidnapping, coldly planning to bury his next victim just miles from his home. This revelation added a layer of premeditation to his heinous acts, painting a picture of a man devoid of remorse. As the search for Sierra continued, drones scoured the landscape, their cameras capturing every detail. It was in a nearby cornfield that they spotted a patch of disturbed soil, the earth appearing as if it had been recently dug and hastily covered. When cadaver dogs were brought to the site, they immediately alerted, their instincts confirming the investigators' worst fears. The search for Sierra Juffin reached its heartbreaking conclusion in this desolate field. Her body was discovered in a shallow grave, her ankles bound to her wrists with rope, her hands secured with handcuffs. A plastic bag lay over her mouth, a cruel implement of her asphyxiation. The autopsy revealed the tragic cause of her death, a confirmation of the violence she had endured in her final moments. Further examination uncovered more harrowing details. Sierra was found still wearing a diaper, a stark symbol of the dehumanization she had suffered. One of her teeth was broken, a testament to the brutal force inflicted upon her. Though there was no evidence of sexual assault, the brutality and degradation of her ordeal were undeniable. The scene left even the most seasoned investigators momentarily shattered, the weight of what they had uncovered pressing heavily upon them. In the quiet aftermath, the barn stood as a grim monument to the darkness that can reside within the human soul. It served as a somber reminder of the fragility of innocence and the depths of depravity to which some can sink. The echoes of this tragedy reverberated, urging society to remain vigilant, to protect the vulnerable, and to seek justice for those silenced by such monstrous acts. The chilling ordeal that had marked James Worley's previous criminal history. Their testimonies painted a vivid picture of a man whose presence loomed menacingly over the lives of those he targeted. Sheila, Sierra's sister, recounted the days leading up to the fateful night, describing an unease that had settled in their family as though a shadow had been cast over their everyday lives. Josh, a close friend and the last person to see Sierra before her abduction, detailed the moments of their parting, a memory now etched with grief and guilt. Robin Gardner, the survivor of an earlier attack, took the stand with a resolve forged through trauma. Her voice, steady yet steeped in the pain of recollection, brought to life the night she narrowly escaped the grasp of a predator. Her testimony was a haunting reminder of James Worley's capacity for violence, a stark narrative that echoed through the courtroom. The forensic evidence was a tapestry of tragedy and meticulous investigation. The DNA evidence extracted from the barn was a testament to a grim reality, each piece a fragment of the horrific puzzle that painted James Worley as the architect of Sierra's fate. The prosecution highlighted the chilling similarities between the two cases, underscoring a pattern of predatory behavior that could not be ignored. In an effort to counter the prosecution's narrative, James's defense team attempted to weave a story of doubt and possibility. They presented the unknown DNA as a beacon of uncertainty, suggesting that its presence could indicate another party involved in the crime. They argued fervently that the absence of definitive proof of James's sole culpability should warrant consideration of a broader conspiracy. Yet, as the trial unfolded, the weight of evidence against James Worley seemed insurmountable. The prosecution methodically dismantled the defense's arguments, each rebuttal further solidifying the image of James as a lone predator. The items recovered from his property, the damning digital footprint left by his searches, and the chilling testimony of his past victim all converged to form a narrative of undeniable guilt. As the trial drew to a close, the courtroom was a crucible of emotions, a place where justice and grief intermingled in a delicate dance. The verdict, when it came, was a culmination of a journey through darkness, a path that had demanded resilience from Sierra's family and the community that stood by them. The jury's decision was a reflection of the collective will to see justice served, a testament to the strength of evidence and the power of truth. In the aftermath, the echoes of Sierra's life continued to resonate, a reminder of the fragile nature of safety and the enduring impact of loss. The trial had been a crucible not only for the legal system, but for all those touched by the tragedy. It served as a stark reminder of the shadows that lurk in society's corners and the vigilance required to confront them. In the end, the story of Sierra's life and death became a solemn narrative etched into the fabric of collective memory. It was a narrative that underscored the importance of justice and the profound need for healing in the wake of unimaginable loss. As the community sought to rebuild, the lessons learned from the trial became a beacon, guiding them toward a future where such darkness might be recognized and extinguished before it could claim another innocent soul. The year was 1990, and the echoes of a harrowing tale began to unfold in the courtroom. James Worley stood at the center of a storm, a man accused of heinous crimes that sent shivers down the spine of all who bore witness. The prosecution presented a formidable array of evidence, a mountain so vast it seemed insurmountable. In stark contrast, James's defense could muster only 2 witnesses to counter the tidal wave of accusations. In a desperate gambit, his attorneys painted a portrait of a man tormented by a dark past. They claimed that James had been involved in an incestuous relationship with his mother, a portrayal of a deeply disturbed individual grappling with severe mental health issues. Yet, the prosecution held firm, acknowledging his mental instability but arguing that no credible evidence supported such claims about his mother. The courtroom tension thickened as James's own sister took the stand. Her testimony cast a long shadow over James as she spoke of long-held suspicions regarding his involvement in other disappearances and murders. Among the chilling cases was that of Claudia Tinsley, with whom James admitted spending the fateful night she vanished. Additionally, there were the tragic disappearances of 14-year-old Lori and Hill, both lost to the annals of the 1980s. After 6 hours of painstaking deliberation, the jury emerged with their verdict. James Worley was found guilty on 17 of the 19 charges, including murder. The defense sought clemency in the form of a life sentence, but the prosecution pursued the ultimate justice, the death penalty. A criminal psychologist who examined James diagnosed him with sexual paraphilia disorder, concluding that his attack on Sierra was driven by a violent fetish intertwined with sexual sadism. The sentencing phase saw James erupt into a 40-minute tirade, vehemently denying his role in Sierra's murder and insisting he had been framed. His words, laced with cruelty, struck a deep wound in Sierra's family, prompting them to leave the courtroom in anguish. Among his most chilling utterances was a callous remark about Sierra, which underscored the depths of his depravity. Nevertheless, the court upheld the jury's decision, sentencing James Worley to death. His execution was initially slated for 2019, but appeals delayed the inevitable. Ultimately, his new execution date was set for May 20th, 2025. In the aftermath, a civil suit brought a measure of recompense to Sierra's family. Sheila, Sierra's mother, was awarded $3.6 million and ownership of James's property. Though she acknowledged she might never see a penny, the significance lay elsewhere. The land, once a bastion of evil, was now in her hands. Sheila resolved to erase the physical reminders of horror, deciding that the property must be razed. The act of demolition was not just a physical one. It was a symbolic gesture of purification, a cathartic release of pent-up grief and rage. For Sheila, tearing down the structure meant obliterating the darkness and making way for the light. She envisioned the land as a space of tribute, one that would no longer echo with sorrow, but instead stand as a beacon of hope in memory of Sierra. In the end, the tale of James Worley is a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity, yet it also speaks to the resilience of those left behind. As Sheila transforms a place of dread into one of remembrance, it is a testament to the enduring human spirit's quest to find peace amidst chaos, to reclaim light from the shadows. As investigators meticulously combed the surrounding terrain for any lingering traces of evidence or potential victims tied to the ominous shadow of James, a legislative beacon emerged in December of 2018. Ohio Senate Bill 231, known as Sierra's Law, was enacted with unanimous approval. This pioneering statute birthed a public database, a tool of transparency that empowers both law enforcement and citizens to ascertain whether violent offenders reside nearby. Crucially, it endowed authorities with the capability to reach out to potential suspects within the critical first 24 to 48 hours after a person is reported missing. By the year 2021, this database had burgeoned to encompass over 2,000 registered offenders. Yet a chilling enigma persisted. Did James claim other lives beyond those of Sierra and Robin? The police, burdened with the weight of grim probabages of unsolved cases and old allegations. As Robin astutely observed, an individual of his ilk does not perpetrate such heinous deeds, cease for decades, and then resume. It defies the logic of any rational mind, she contended. The authorities concurred, pointing out that James's property alone whispered a sinister narrative. It was a place meticulously crafted for abduction, captivity, and assault, ensconced in secrecy where cries for help would go unheard. In tandem with these sweeping legal reforms born from her tragic ordeal, Sierra's hometown remains steadfast in honoring her indelible spirit each passing year. At Evergreen High School, where her laughter once echoed, a memorial tree and plaque pay tribute to her legacy, while scholarships are bestowed upon students in her name. Her family, resolute in their mission, founded the charity Justice for Sierra, an initiative dedicated to imparting self-defense training in schools and championing safety awareness. Her boyfriend, Josh, transformed his sorrow into advocacy, establishing Keeping Our Girls Safe, an organization that partners with first responders to deliver safety education programs. Annually, the Sierra Juffin Memorial Motorcycle Ride sees hundreds of bikers traverse the 40-mile journey in her honor. The community also gathers for the Jogging for Juffin 5K run, an event steeped in remembrance and solidarity. In moments of reflection, Tara, Sierra's mother, grapples with the unbearable weight of imagining her daughter's final moments. "The void is beyond words," she laments. "The pain is excruciating. Yet, despite his attempts to fracture us, he must know that our family is forged from a resilience he could never fathom. We are unbreakable, fortified by Sierra's enduring love." Sheila, Sierra's mother, poignantly reflects on her daughter's short yet profound life. Sierra's existence transcended the mere 20 years she was given. She touched lives she never even encountered, and I often ponder the remarkable feats she could have achieved had she remained with us. But even in death, I am certain she continues to move mountains.